Scoles. Hi. I already knew it was going to be dorky. We are going to look at memorization today, and I know a lot of you are freaking out about this because everybody kind of looks at whatever you're doing and you say, oh my God, how am I going to memorize this? How am I going to memorize this whole thing? Even though it's just a couple of sheets and a couple of lines. But you do have to memorize the blocking. The more you do it, the better you get. So it's all about repetition. And that's with everything. Repetition is key. So I'm going to go through a couple of ways for you to memorize. Some of these methods might work for you, some of them won't. The assignment is to choose two of the methods that I'm going to be giving to you and bring them in class on Monday so that I can check them for grade. So you have this week and the weekend to do this. The first one and this kind of goes back to your VARC learning styles. So the VARC learning styles, as I said before, everybody learns differently. Everybody learns at a different pace. It doesn't mean that you are not able to learn. If somebody learns a little quicker than you or a little different style, that doesn't mean that you yourself can't also learn something. It just might mean that you don't share the same style as that person. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is with memorization. So I'm going to look at Midsummer Night's Dream right now. This doesn't exclude those of you who have the other 7 scenes. But I'm going to show you the ways that I memorize, that I use. And as I said, I want you to choose 2 and bring them to class on Monday for me to check, and that's your warm-up. And then what we're going to do is I want you to use those over and over and over. So repetition is key. Now, one of the ways that I learn best is through my kinetic, because I'm a kinetic learner, and then also I'm an oral learner, so I learn through hearing and listening. And so those are 2 key things. So one of the things that I use is I use my iPhone or my cell phone. And what I do is I will record my lines. So let me give you a demonstration here. So on a lot of your cell phones, you have a voice record button on here already. So just finding that somewhere on your, there it is, voice memos. For me, it's this one, it's voice memos. So finding wherever yours is, depending on what your phone is. And then what you can do is you can record your lines. Now this does take some time, and I do tend to do it twice. I do it once by recording my lines as well as recording the other people's lines and leaving a space after I've said my line. So that way, once I've said my line, I try to kind of say it in my head silently and give the time on the recorder, and then go to the next line, and then do that with all of my lines. Now, if I'm doing a full-length play, that does take some time. It sometimes takes a couple of hours to do because it's just me sitting there. Now, I usually don't do it all at once. I'll do it a little bit at a time, a scene at a time, and that way I can listen to it again, you know, while I'm cleaning the house, while I'm doing dishes, put my earbuds in and listen to the vocal recording. And then I repeat back the words that I've heard. That tends to help. A lot of you might notice that if you hear a song on the radio, after the first, 4 or 5 times, you know bits and pieces of the song, if not the whole song. And that's because you are listeners. You learn orally. You learn through hearing. So on this one, this is from a summer show that I did called Dysfunctional Lives, and I played a DMV secretary. Okay, so you'll notice on this one that it's just the other person's lines. I left pauses in for my lines. I didn't say my lines and then pause because this is my second recording. So I told you you record it twice. You record it once, your first recording with the other actor's line as well as your lines, then a pause. And the pause, as I said, kind of say it in your head silently at the rate that you think you would say it in actual real time. And then once you're through with all of the lines, then when you're listening to it, you're repeating back to yourself your line, you're giving yourself those pauses. The second time you're going to record it, you're going to record it to just the other people's lines, not saying your lines, thinking them silently, so that gives that pause, and then doing the next person's line. So that's your second recording. The second recording helps so that way you're getting out of the repetition and you're actually saying and doing, and you're actually getting to the memorization portion where it's going from short-term memory to long-term memory. Now, the thing with our brains is our brains are like computers. That's just the way they are. We have short-term memory, we have long-term memory. A lot of you, if you cram, and a lot of us, I'm not excluding myself, a lot of us cram for something. Oh my God, I have a test, I have something that I need to learn, and we cram for it the night before, or a couple of hours before, or just a couple of minutes before. And you'll retain the knowledge for a short amount of time, but it does not go into long-term memory. So it's kind of like if you're typing up an essay in a Word document and you print it out but you don't save it. Now, the thing with computers is somewhere on that computer there is some sort of file about that essay, but it would take somebody like a computer technician to go in and retrieve all the stuff that you didn't save. On the other hand, if you save it and then you revise it and you keep revising it, or you save it and you put it in a file, then that goes into long-term memory and it's easier to get to. You can go back to it, you can revise it. There's a really wonderful book called Moonwalking with Einstein, and the first chapter deals with an old story about where memorization came from. And in the book, it talks about a dinner party given by a very famous Greek philosopher, and he had everybody over, and during the dinner, there was an earthquake, and almost everyone died, except for this philosopher. And so all the families came to find where the bodies were, but nobody knew where the bodies were because there was all this rubble. And because the philosopher remembered where everybody was, he walked through and told the family, this is where your family member was, this is what they were doing. And a lot of memorizers, people who memorize for a living, and there is actually, if you check this book out, it's a really awesome book. It's called Moonwalking with Einstein. And there are people who just memorize. They are able to memorize very quickly and learn very quickly because they have something called a memory house. And so your brain is like that memory house. Your brain's like that computer. Your brain's like that memory house. And I think that if you read this book, it would kind of give you insight into how the brain works, which is really very fascinating. Okay, so first one, I know I'm getting off topic. First one, use your technology. Use your cell phone. Use whatever. Record it. Use whatever listening device that you use. And instead of listening to music, for 15 minutes a day while you're cleaning your room, hopefully, or doing chores around the house, or even just during passing periods, put your earbuds in and listen to your lines and repeat. Okay, now that's one tool. The other tool that I want to talk about is this one. This is one that I use a lot, and I call it letter substitution, and I think that you'll like it a lot. I don't think you can see it on there, but what this is I usually have a notebook of some sort, and I have a lot of different notebooks, notepad, whatever you need. And so I'm going to use Midsummer Night's Dream as an example here. Okay, so what you do in the notepad is, let's say I'm playing Hermia. Okay, so the line before, the first line is given to me by Lysander. And Lysander says, "Hang off, thou cat, thou bird, vile thing, let loose, or I will shake thee from me like a serpent." So what I'm going to do in my notebook is I'm going to put an L for Lysander, and then I'm going to put my last Q line, which, remember from the reading, the annotation, that the Q line is the last line that the person before you says that you should be highlighting. So the Q line is, or I will shake thee from me like a serpent. Now, if I'm playing Hermia, my next line is, "Why are you grown so rude? What changes this sweet love?" So what I'm going to do, because there's a Hermia and a Helena, I'm going to put an HR, and that way I can differentiate between the two. And then I'm going to put WAYGSR. I'm also going to put in any of the stop marks, so periods, question marks, commas, anything like that. I'm going to move you guys a little closer because there's a glare here. That way you can see this. There you go. So WAYGSR, WCIT, comma, S, and it's a capital here because it's capital over here too. You can see that. And then L and a question mark. So right here, WAYGSR, question mark, WCIT, comma, SL, question mark. Why are you grown so rude? What change is this sweet love? Okay, so now my brain is having to work for it a little bit. This will also help you if you do this in conjunction with the vocal recording, because you can look along, especially during the second vocal recording where you don't have any of your lines in there and you're not repeating. So this is kind of like a little memory cheat sheet, kind of. So it will help you because now your brain, you're having to work for it a little bit more. And remember, your brain is like a muscle. So if you are working out and you are walking, and you're walking for your workout or you're running for your workout, oh, that's great. These are kind of like those little bags, those little weight bags that you put on your ankles when you're running, because these make you work harder for it. Okay, so instead of having the script in your hand, which you should have the script in your hand for blocking purposes at first, after a while you can take the script, put it down, because the script is your crutch, and then you can start using the letter substitution. And the letter substitution helps because now your brain is having to work for it. Your brain is having to try to remember exactly what that word is. W. What are you grown so rude? What change is this, sweet love? And you repeat and you keep doing it over and over and over again so that you have it. So this is your second way that you can learn. Now, again, if I'm doing this with a full show, like I've shown you here, this is from DMV Tyrant. I'm doing all of my lines as well as the cue lines for the other person, going on and on until the end of my scene. Now this was a short scene that I did, so it's several pages long. Yours will not be that long. It might be a page and a half. If you want to get a notebook, that's great, because you can really use this not only in my class but in other classes. If you need to learn a formula for a math problem, a word problem or something like that, you can use the letter substitution, and that way it becomes something that it's a little easier for you to learn. Okay, so that is the second way that you can learn your lines. All right, now the other way that you can learn your lines is something like this, a video recording of yourself doing it. So that way you are looking at yourself doing it, you're watching yourself doing it. And but of course, recording, it's a little different, because in performing for stage, you're being very big. So you need to remember that the something like this is going to pick up every nuance. It's going to pick up everything that a lot of us don't like looking at ourselves. So it's not unusual to hate your voice. It's not unusual to think that you're doing things much bigger than you should be. So remember that if you do a video of yourself doing this, that's the factor, that you're going to be doing it for stage. So the way you look on stage is going to be different than the way you would do this for TV or camera or a YouTube video. So you are going to be bigger, and a lot of people find that off-putting when they see themselves. So don't worry if you're being too big. I will tell you if you're being too big. Okay. So those are two of the ways, either using your technology, but also going old school. So if you use the old school method, which I really like, and I use this all the time, I also use this. And then, of course, the third one being the recording of yourself, recording yourself at different stages, and that way you can look at it, listen to it, and watch yourself. Then these are all good ways to memorize, and it's going to go a lot quicker. It's not going to be as scary, and as I said, it's repetition. It's doing it over and over and over again. Now, the last way that you can do the memorization is by actually coming up with a schedule. And the schedule needs to be met. So if you decide to come up with a schedule for your group, the schedule needs to be on a calendar, what days you're meeting, from what time to what time, and then a log sheet. And the log sheet needs to be initialed by all people in the group. And that one's a little bit harder to do because it means that everybody has to get together. But it is something that you guys can do as a way of memorization. So this is outside work, a calendar for November and December, and having when you're going to be off book. So off book generally happens, you want to be off book about 2 weeks before the actual performance. And then you can still call line up until about a week before the actual performance. So I would give yourself a little less time. Like if you're going to call line, then give yourself at least 5 days, 5 to 6 days before the actual performance to say that you're not going to call line anymore. Give yourself 2 weeks before the actual performance to say, we're going to be off book. We're not going to use our script. We're not going to use our letter substitution on stage. We're going to go through this, and somebody's going to be on book for us. So that way, if we do need to call line, we can. And then that 5 to 6 days before the actual performance, then have somebody on book for you, but have them underline with a pencil the places where you're messing up. And this helps because then after you're done with rehearsal or doing the scene, then you can go to your line reader, your line runner, or stage manager, um, and say, where were we messing up? Where are our trouble spots? And then you'll get feedback from, okay, you guys need to study more in this place. You said this line, but you said it like this instead of like this, and that helps out too, because then you'll get it verbatim, and it will make you more comfortable. The more comfortable you are with with what you have memorized, the less nervous you're going to be when you get up to perform. It's as simple as that. The more prepared you are, the less nervous you are. The less nervous you are, the freer you become. So I hope this was good for you guys. Remember, I want you to choose uh, two of the ideas that I've given you for memorization and have them ready for me by Monday, next Monday, which is coming up. And actually, I'll give you guys until Tuesday, and on Monday, if you would like to bring it in for extra credit, so that way we can kind of, and actually, it's going to have to be on Tuesday because we have Veterans Day on Monday. So if you would like to hit me up on Monday on Edmodo, and if you want to load something or take a picture of something or put video up, so that way you can get my feedback. But it'll be Tuesday, which is the day after Veterans Day, and everything ready, set, go. And this will prepare you so that you get off book, and it will make you more comfortable, and hopefully A's for everybody. Yay! All right, I will see you guys later for the blocking, and yeah, have a good day.